Look at a photo of yourself as a baby. You were there. You laughed. You cried. You learned what your mother's voice sounded like and what it felt like to be held. But you don't remember any of it. Not 1 second. Why? Most people assume the answer is simple. Babies just don't form memories yet. Their brains are too undeveloped. Nothing gets recorded, so there's nothing to remember. But that's not what's happening at all. The real answer is far stranger. Your brain was recording. It was learning faster than it ever will again. The memories were made. They were just erased on purpose. This is called infantile amnesia, and it's one of the strangest blind spots in human experience. Everyone has it. No one remembers having it happen, and the science behind it reveals something unsettling about how your mind decides what's worth keeping. Start with the obvious question. How do scientists even know babies form memories if babies can't tell anyone what they remember? In the 1980s, a researcher named Carolyn Rovi Collier ran a deceptively simple experiment. She attached a ribbon from a baby's ankle to a mobile hanging above the crib. Every time the baby kicked, the mobile moved. Babies as young as 2 or 3 months old quickly figured this out. They kicked harder. They kicked with purpose. They had learned a cause and effect relationship. Then came the real test. Days later, sometimes weeks later, Rovi Collier brought the babies back. She hooked them up to the same mobile, but this time the ribbon wasn't connected to anything. The babies still kicked. Not randomly. They kicked in the same pattern they had used before, as if expecting the mobile to respond. They remembered. For weeks. At an age when, according to old assumptions, no memory should exist at all. So if babies can remember, why can't you remember being one? Here's where the story gets interesting. The kind of memory Rovi Collier measured is called implicit memory. It's the memory of how to do something or how something works without any conscious recollection of learning it. Your body holds on to it. Your actions reflect it. But there's no mental movie playing alongside it. What you're missing isn't that kind of memory. What you're missing is explicit memory. The kind where you can close your eyes and picture a moment. Where you can say, "This happened, I was there, here's what it looked like." And explicit memory depends on a part of your brain that, in infancy, is still under construction. That part is called the hippocampus. Think of it as your brain's filing system. Every day, your senses take in an overwhelming flood of information. Sights, sounds, smells, conversations. Most of it gets discarded immediately. The hippocampus is what decides which moments get tagged, organized, and filed away as retrievable memories. In a newborn, this filing system is still being built. The wiring isn't finished. New neurons are being produced in the hippocampus at an extraordinary rate, faster than at any other point in life. And this is where the twist comes in. You'd think more new neurons would mean more memory capacity, more room to store things. But a researcher named Paul Franklin, working with mice, found something almost paradoxical. His team raised young mice and tested how well they remembered a fearful experience, like a specific sound paired with a mild shock. Young mice with rapidly growing hippocampi forgot the association quickly. Older mice, whose neuron growth had slowed down, held onto the memory much longer. Then Franklin's team did something clever. They artificially boosted neuron growth in the older mice's hippocampi. Suddenly, those older mice started forgetting too, just like the younger ones. The new neurons weren't failing to store memories. They were overwriting the wiring that older memories depended on. Growth itself was erasing the past. Does that sound familiar? It should. Because something almost identical happens in your brain during your first few years of life. Between birth and roughly age 4, your hippocampus is undergoing massive structural change. New neurons are integrating into circuits at a breathtaking pace. This is also, not coincidentally, the period when you're learning to walk, to recognize faces, to understand language, to make sense of an entire world you were dropped into with no instructions. Your brain was prioritizing something, and what it prioritized wasn't preserving a personal timeline of events. It was building the basic architecture you'd need for everything that came after. Learning how memory works was more important than remembering what happened while you learned it. There's a researcher named Patricia Bauer who has spent decades studying exactly when this shifts. Her work with young children shows something remarkable. Toddlers can recall events from months earlier, sometimes with surprising detail when you ask them shortly after the event happens. But ask that same child,